All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Backlog, episode number 28. Another exciting week of gaming. Last week, we started off with the big surprise, which was with this game right here, Einhander, um,
Ein-
made by Squaresoft. What were your thoughts?
It's a fun name to say right off the bat. Einhander gives me
Yeah,
give me Deutschland vibes. So that's yeah, right.
gives you Rammstein
The
vibes.
mm-hmm. The homeland. Uh, First of all, why is it a German? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's not a German name, but it definitely sounds like one. Uh,
No, that's totally
um,
German.
yeah. Uh, Shit, if I know, I'm not educated in terms of geography, nationalities, but a little context.
Yeah,
This game got my attention right away at our local game store at Tronics. Saw it right away, and I was like, "Whoa, what is this? This looks cool." And then on the bottom corner, it's got Squaresoft's logo, and I was like, "Is this an RPG? What the fuck is this?" I don't think you really explained it much, and I was trying to look at the back of the casing, and you disappeared. I'm like, "Okay, this guy doesn't care about this game." And I'm trying to like look in, and I was like, "Okay, whatever. We'll keep moving it on." And I check out a whole bunch of other games, and then finally get home and you unveil the the surprise, which was that you bought it. Did they just get that game as soon as you bought it? I mean, who cares? But
pretty much.
like timing, uh, which is a shmup, a shooter, but it has 3D graphics. It's a 2.5D game, and at least for PlayStation 1, I think those graphics have aged beautifully. I know Kelvin or the younger generation aren't going to care for these kind of graphics, but when you go back and try to play a PlayStation 1 game, you are plagued with so much polygons. Here, it's obvious that they're polygons, but everything's like in a robotic environment. So, of course, there's going to be blocky stuff. But that, the mixture of polygons, beautiful scan lines because it's PlayStation 1, so it's 240p content. It just looked really good, and then the gameplay was there. That's the thing that surprised me the most, that it was a good shmup. It wasn't gimmicky. It was just pretty much, well, it has its gimmicks, but uh it doesn't rely on them for so much. Like it's just a shmup. It's a straight shmup. And it was a good experience and a captivating one. The music, the graphics, the gameplay all like molded into a great experience. Uh, and how much did you pay for this
I
item?
think you hit on just about everything. What's that?
How much did you pay for this one?
The way I acquired this game was through a late night eBay bid. It ended at on a Tuesday at midnight. I've been wanting this game for a long time, and there was no activity, not even one bid. At the, I stayed up till midnight, and I was like, you know what? Since it's still here, no, there's no activity. I know what the game goes for. I'm gonna throw a bid out there for 150 and see what happens. Like basically, last minute, put the bid out. And every time though with eBay, there's a suspense. I don't know if you've ever like been part of a bidding process, but the last 10 minutes begin to really intensify. And
Oh
then
yeah, you just
like the last 3 minutes, your heart's racing and you have to like keep your composure together or you might like get involved, which makes sense why some games go more. But to answer your question, 150, I locked in. In some ways, I was ecstatic. In other ways, I was like, $150. Let's put it in terms of Switch and PS5 money, right? Like that's a big step towards a new console.
Mm,
But I know that the value is going to hold. Another reason I bought it was because we're part of this journey now, this experience of going out and adventuring into whatever we can. So I know you do it a lot of the times. You take the leap forward, and I was like, you know what, like I have a duty to go out there and try to do my part. So a lot of times when you take that leap, you are taking the chance, and what sucks is that there's a good chance that the game could suck, or it didn't age very well, or it was rated highly at the time, and I'm just glad that we had a good experience with it. And so I was already under the impression that this game, it's been so many years, it's probably not going to be that good. And you ran it, and you were actually really good at the game, so I think you fell into it a little bit easier. And I could tell right away that you were satisfied with the game. And so just knowing that one of us was satisfied, like that was enough for me. What, as you said, like I don't think this game is gonna age. It's not for the newer generation. I think if you grew up with PS1 or have an appreciation for those polygon style games, this is definitely a really fun game. As you said, very fun. The bosses were interesting because they had kind of like what you would expect from like the goat shmups, which have pattern recognition that you have to pick up on. You're gonna die right away, so you got to go back and customize yourself to memorizing the levels, the stages, the way the bosses move. Telegraphing is a big part of this game, and as you said, you hit on everything, but the music, man. Squaresoft has always been a slam dunk on this. Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
right? Like they know how
Whoever
to
their whoever their
get the
guy
music
is,
going.
whoever their guy is, like they're fucking
Who's your
locking
guy?
him down. Like, you're not going anywhere. You're making music. I was just making RPG shmup music now. Yeah, very
Which I've
captivating
heard of that.
experience.
I've yeah, you know we hit on music a lot, but um when you watch like these old interviews with the music directors, you're like, nah, but now you go back and you're like, man, that guy had real creativity. That guy really knew his stuff.
It
Ken
the tele
Kenny
the
Kenichiro Fukui.
oh
That's
man,
that's the music
butch
composer. Just so you
uh,
know.
butch butchering that name, and it's not. I'm not committing that to memory at all whatsoever. Uh, uh, the
Yeah.
tele getting on the telegraphing of the moves. Um, what do you call it? There's a moment where or a scene where the boss was telegraphing this pattern, and it's a very obvious one, but it was a it it fucked me up because he wasn't moving. It was the lunge. He would stay still and then lunge at you. You have to be on the opposite corner. But anyways, it gives you cues, and the puzzle was figuring that out, and then figuring out the combination of those cues, and then being able to react to it. Uh, it was good, classic fun, and it hit a stopping point where the boots with the webs started falling on me. I was like, all right, losing steam. I'm pretty sure this is a good pausing point. Uh, but it was a good experience. It was a good game. For something I haven't heard of, I think it turned out pretty good.
Yeah. So definitely a success. The next thing that we hit on was we hit on the Switch. You had some new rivals. You want to hit on those real quick?
Uh, you talking about the Switch Online service?
No, the controllers.
Ah, uh, yeah, man. The GameCube controller and the N64 controller. Uh, did an unboxing and then also another video, a short video with the GameCube controller, just having a comparison with the Wavebird. And once you have that thing in your hand, oh man, it's something else. It still feels a little off. I don't know if it's the controller itself or the content behind it, but uh, when we or when I played on it, it felt like I'm playing a GameCube game all over again. I will say there might be somewhat of a lag, and I still uh, to touch on this point, I still don't know if the triggers are analog or not. right after this, I'm gonna run some tests and see because I googled the crap out of this question. I couldn't figure this out if it's digital or analog because some games do rely on it. I know Super Mario Sunshine relies on flood and the water to depending on how much you squeeze is how much pressure that water's coming out. Or in F-Zero's case, the triggers determine how much of a lean you have. And I think I felt it for a little bit, but I wasn't 100% confident that I was there. Maybe it was just a different feeling, or maybe it's not there and it's an illusion that I'm uh, playing on myself.
I will say the game felt a lot more difficult. Playing F-Zero, the sensitivity was higher, and I'm used to playing standard, and that's usually challenging enough. It felt like I was playing expert. I had to go all in. I had to go full boost, full risk. The alarms are flaring, like I'm about to die here. And that's like the only way that you can rank 10th place or better. So I don't know if that has to do with the controller feeling like it's off, maybe. I did try to gradually press on the L and R buttons, the shoulder buttons, and it maybe because it's still too brand new, but I definitely felt like once I once I got rid of the slack, boom, I was moving in. So I think I'm kind of leaning towards that they are digital, and if they are analog, then maybe there's just some break-in functionality that needs to happen, or they're just a little more sensitive than what we're used to.
I felt the same way when playing F-Zero. It's like it like you go from 0 to 100 real quick on those triggers. And I mean, we've played this game. This is like almost our go-to game just to run on a TV to see how fast it can be and how reactive we can be to the game. So we know how F-Zero is supposed to feel. And then jumping onto the NSO service really kind of messed us up because it is a different experience. Either it's that little bit of latency that we take for granted on the CRTs, or it's the communication between the controller to the game that something is uh, different. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's different right now. Maybe there is lag, but like I
Yeah,
said, I won't be able to confirm or deny that until we test it out a little bit. Or there's some
until you tear it
article out
apart.
there. Yeah, something tells me so. Jerry rigs everything, fucks this one up for me, and makes me cringe at seeing a GameCube controller
And then
just.
the other one was the 64 controller, which I'm assuming you're gonna keep in box, or you plan on ever
I
unboxing
don't.
that one for gameplay.
I don't have a good reason to unbox it right now, so it's staying in the box. I just wanted to have it for game night and see for myself what a brand new 64 controller feels like because I have never gotten into the N64 generation with brand new hardware. So at least getting the controller fresh, clean, I was like, damn, this is how I felt on day one. Like this was a stick. This was a joystick. And it felt so buttery smooth. On tapping on that, there are some mod communities that will put steel bearings in the stick. That way it can improve the longevity. You will basically uh, limit the chances of stick drift with that steel ball bearing. I would imagine it's an expensive uh, piece of hardware to purchase. I would imagine something like that, something that's like specifically modded. It goes like 100 plus. And then also you have to do the work to get it out of the stick, get it out of the casing. There's a lot of work behind it. I would imagine it's definitely worth it though, because you definitely need one 64 controller that you can just go to town with Mario Party, like fucking do circles for days on that thing. Yeah.
Just make a fire with the joystick. I think
What's
there's
on what's on
I
this
think there's no
dust?
feeling like a true. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever taken one apart, but when you take apart an N64 controller and you look at that joystick, I mean, you see the sheer abuse that's gone on with that. You see the plastic has just, with every turn, has just like slowly disintegrated that plastic framing.
Just
And,
getting
and I,
chipped
I just
away.
really wish that they would maybe find a way to make that stronger. I don't think that you necessarily always have to have the Hall effect sticks or anything fancy. I think it just needs to be strengthened in a way that can last a little bit longer. But maybe there's a certain feeling that the plastic gives. Uh, and we were talking about the height of the joystick. We've talked about this a few times. People tend to replace it with the GameCube joystick because they say that's superior. Which, sure, for GameCube on a GameCube controller, you can definitely argue that point. But there is a difference in just that those few millimeters of height that um, the way you hold it reduce your sensitivity on how you play the game. It feels off when you're a little bit short on that leverage. Just doesn't feel as it used to, and that just goes to somebody who's been playing or who grew up on the N64. If you didn't grow up on it, you probably won't even tell. But most people who are making these kind of changes may notice that there is a slight difference between the so on quote unquote upgrade with the GameCube joystick.
I will actually say it's a very inferior feeling when you go when you've played a game on 64 and you know how Mario or Link is supposed to move in the game, and then you give me a different stick to move him through the world, like it feels off. The height
Yeah.
has a significant play, and also the thickness of the stick, because that'll determine whether it hits any of the gates. N64 is not designed to go in a circle. It's designed to go into an octagon-like shape. When I've
Hmm.
seen people test it and test um, the the extent or the limits of how far they can get to these gates, it's never in a circle. It's like in the pattern of the stick. If you look at it, it's like an octagon, which is completely different from a GameCube controller. So the feeling is going to be completely off, and how the designers designed the game to be played, how it feels, is going to be dramatically different. Uh, and
Isn't
I
that
could
crazy
confirm that
though?
because what is what's crazy?
The just the design of somebody, like what makes a perfect controller, because you have all these third parties who just make the same shit, right? But it's not the same. The material is not the same, the amount of pressure is not the same, the amount of give is not the same, the slight differences in height, right? And all I can think of is growing up and trying to save a little bit of money and buying the, was it the Mad Cats controller?
Ed
And
Cats,
those
the
things would just like,
fucking
they would just
player two.
fail on you right away.
Oh yeah, it's like you got a guest coming over. Oh, here I got a controller for you. Uh,
Fucking handicap him.
I
Not in the
know.
best way either.
Why does he always win? Don't worry about that.
The host
Speaking
always
on
wins. The house always
yeah,
wins, son.
speaking of improvements, the Switch 2 Pro controller has experienced small quality of life changes. And I've seen a video breakdown because people keep saying this is like one of their best Pro controllers. And I'm like, y'all have only had like maybe three Pro controllers. How are you going to claim this is the best one? Well, they've had small improvements, and one of the improvements is actually the sticks. The sticks are the gates. uh, I don't know how to properly explain this, but the way I see it is just that the sticks are usually manufactured in these box cube designs. So how you go around or how you rotate the stick is limited by that square design. Well, Nintendo redesigned that module, and it's basically now a circle or a cylinder. So now it can make an actual 360 without rubbing or hitting against some of these gates. That's something that's explained a little bit more into detail in the Nintendo Switch 2 showcase game, the one that's like 10, $15 that doesn't come free with it got a lot of shit, but it explains the mechanics behind it and small stuff like this, that plus they actually changed the width of the sticks, uh, not the top, but the portion that connects it is actually different in width, and the button sizes have, I think, increased. There's small tweaks, but it all accumulates into a better controller, like overall. Like you would 9 out of 10 pick the Switch Pro 2 controller over the first Switch. Now what keeps most people, and there's an argument for it is the price. It is like 85 or $95 controller. And there's so many third party alternatives that I wouldn't necessarily say beat them, but the value definitely can persuade you towards a third party like 8-bit dough.
So is there longevity in these new pro controllers? Because that was the issue in the past, right? That you would have stick drift, and basically at that point you just go buy another one.
So no one knows because this thing just barely came out. The only
That's
thing that
true. I was just wondering if there's like a stronger warranty or something.
the only thing I can think of is like when you strength test anything, you run it through a machine and it does so many rotations, so many flicks. It tests the durability of material. Uh, I can only imagine some third party manufacturer has already done it and allotted them a certain time frame of a warranty. Like, hey, we rated this at this much force with this much time. You're probably good for like maybe a year or two. And I uh, I can only have so much. I hope that the the design or how they manufactured this stick so much better that you don't have to worry about it. You saw how many pro controllers I have to replace, go through. I have like maybe 4 or 5 of them already that are just all useless to me. And then one 8-bit dough is just dunking on them. It's just beating them, leaving them to dust. Like I'm not buying Switch One Pro controllers anymore. It's not worth it unless it's for authenticity.
Even 8-bit dough's lesser grade, lesser not flagship type items, even those controllers are very good. And the one thing I want to add on the 8-bit dough is I have the dog bone SNES like 8-bit dough controller that I thought was obsolete because this controller's been around since probably the early Switch days. And I didn't think that this was going to work on the Switch too. I messaged 8-bit dough. I emailed them. I needed a firmware update for a Pro 2 controller, anyways, and they sent me the update for that one and the other one. And basically, what they did, they sent me a list. Said, "Here you go. Find your controller, download the latest firmware, and you should be good to go." And they did that for all of their controllers. And you know that they got tons of controllers, and I was really impressed by that. The fact that my old controller was still going to be able to have some life in this new current age. And even though you may not prefer it, at least you know, hey, you can use this controller wherever you want. That is really convenient.
Uh, it's funny that you bring that up because I actually had a friend reach out to me. First of all, the preface of the question, the context of the question is, should I buy the Switch 2? His coworker or friend signed up for the Switch 2 raffle, which basically is just a raffle to allow you to buy the Switch 2 directly from Nintendo. Um, he was conflicted because he wasn't sure if it was worth it or not. Uh, a whole rabbit hole of discussion, but eventually he got to the controller and he said, "Hey, does the controller work from my Switch 1 to Switch 2? And I'm like, right away, yes, it does. Or if it doesn't, there should be a firmware update if that manufacturer supports it. So you there's options to going into the Switch 2, which helps with the accessibility of getting into there because oh my God, how annoying is it to buy another set of controllers? Like you've worked up a whole library, and then on top of that, you have to get more controllers. Because the Switch 2 Joy-Cons are pretty good, but I mean, they're not that good.
Nah, not that good. That says a lot about the company though, because they could have easily gone the Nintendo route and said, "Hey, I'm sorry, you got your money's worth, didn't you? Buy the new controller." And they didn't go that route. They they honored your money, your value, and they said, "You know what? Like here, just to update all the controllers. You should be able to run them forever." And instead of trying to cheap you that way, they went the opposite, which is their new controllers are always advancing. I don't know if you've seen the new ones, but they have, and I think maybe you have it. They have a shoulder button with L4 and R4 now. Like, god damn! Like with paddles, you also have
Yeah.
four shoulder buttons. Constantly innovating and coming out with new stuff. That's what should get you to buy a new controller, not that your controller became obsolete. But
Mhm.
so I guess is he gonna buy a Switch 2 or what was the verdict
Uh,
on that?
so I don't know. And I was like, it's funny because like we have this channel, so we have this like platform to speak on, like, okay, what do you recommend? And I'm like, well, it always depends on your financial situation. And I would imagine what he's doing, where he's working, what he did, because he just had a vacation, went to Hawaii. Hawaii is not cheap at all. Um, and went there with family and his girlfriend, so the it keeps adding up.
Hey,
So I was like, you just came back from vacation. Now you're asking me, hey, should I buy a Switch 2? And I'm like, yes, but there is no rush. And I'm trying to explain that like as well as I can because I got the Switch 2. I was on the hype train. I've been waiting for this thing. I'm happy I got it, but I really do not play that much on it because I don't really have a game that's pulling me back. Now, yes, it has Mario Kart World. It pulled me for like a week or two, but man, I've played Mario Kart to death, and this one I've also played a good amount. I don't know if I'm done yet, but um, it just has Mario Kart World, the rest of the Zeldas that I beat, and a handful of other third-party games that have benefited from the performance boost. But in terms of like games that you need to play on the Switch 2, there's not too many. There really isn't any. I just told him like, hey, your uh, Donkey Kong's coming out next month. Uh, I don't think he really cares for Metroid, so I didn't bring it up. He was like, the Pokemon game's not coming till October, and there should be one GameCube game releasing per month. That's the claim that they're making. They don't have to own it or to promise it. They just have to kind of give you a little bit of incentive to get into the garden, the community. So I told him, I mean, there's no rush, but if you do get it, basically you're gonna have those games plus some random games that I don't know that are gonna come out. They just promised me or promised us all these games that are gonna come out per month. Um, he was on
yeah,
a
I think if you had if you had already if you didn't pre-order, then I think the only reason to buy a Switch 2 is if there's a game that's like, oh, I really want that Metroid, I really want that Pokemon. I think that's a great time to get in. Or maybe just wait till the holidays or later, until once the collection is somewhat built up. Otherwise, there's not many games like Mario Kart alone isn't for everyone. Yeah, it's designed for everybody, but just that alone isn't enough to go out and spend $550 on this console, you know.
Yeah, it's a
It
lot.
kind of reminds me of like now, right now is actually the best time to buy a Switch 1 if you're looking for the value. If you're looking for the latest and greatest, then yeah, Switch 2. But I think you can hold off 6 months and be perfectly fine. Most of us have
Yeah,
9 to 5 jobs anyway, so
I I would uh, I would agree on that, but I also know he's like a he has a soft spot for Nintendo games. He's not full Nintendo. I mean, I know he is a somewhat Nintendo fanboy because he beat Mario and Luigi Brothership all the way through. I'm like, dude, I tried beating that game and I fell off. I was like, you beat the damn thing? Okay. Like, there's gonna be games for you out there. Uh, they're just not out right now. The only I have a hard time recommending him to wait because right now, from what I saw, from what I checked, I didn't see any in stock. Now, that's gonna be the more annoying part of just finding one because he only has from now to maybe October, I would say the end of September, because after that, it's Christmas time or it's Christmas shopping. And you know everybody's gonna be trying to fucking gift everyone a fucking Switch 2. So at that point, stock's gonna go right back down and then you're fighting for a damn Switch 2. I think that's the most annoying part of getting this console is that you have to constantly check and constantly fight for this damn thing. And you can't just go to the store, ask for one, and they're gonna give it to you. Like you have to be more strategic or have a plan of how you're gonna get it.
hey, and I wanted to hit on one point real quick. I didn't know it was coming out this soon, but I heard that Metroid is coming out somewhere between Donkey Kong Bonanza and Pokemon. Pokemon's supposed to come out in October. So I guess maybe August, somewhere around there. And I had
Say
mentioned
maybe.
this to you, and I keep bringing it up, but the Metroid theme Switch 2, and the more I think about it, I think the more you're right is that there's just not enough time for them to come out with a theme console, or there's not a strong motive for it, especially before October.
Yeah, it's a very tight squeeze. Like I would think, let me put it this way. If Pokemon is not getting their own Switch 2 exclusive, the thing that fucking prints money, the thing that doesn't make sense to us, and it's still succeeding in this world, and you're gonna ask for Metroid to know the character, and it automatically goes to you have a visual representation of it. That kind of shit sells. A Metroid theme is for the fans, and the closest thing we got.
That's the only reason it's expensive is because nobody bought it. You hardly see any of the Metroid 3DSs in the wild. Uh, I think that they've really tried to push on Metroid to be a theme, and it still always ends up being a niche community. As popular as we think it is, as you said, compared to Pokemon, Pokemon is a freaking statement. It's like a part of most kids' lives today. Everybody, like you said, is familiar with Pikachu, at least one of those characters. And as we've heard from video store owners, they're all shifting to the TCGs now, where the money's at. The money is in trading card games, not so much the other games. The only exception maybe is if they come out with another Zelda, right? Like Zelda seems to always have its own theme. I would say not even always, but maybe 60% of the time it has something that is being paired with. It's the gold. Yeah. I wanted to wrap it up on a couple more things. Uh, Two things. One being the Dragon Ball world I'm getting reintroduced back into. Fighters is a game that I actually had already owned, but I forgot I had played it back in the PS4 days, uh, and it's like one of those games where you can go back, re-download it, and get the new PS5 version, whatever that means. I'm guessing it's just faster load times. I don't think that the graphics are significantly improved. Go ahead. So a game is beautiful. I didn't give it enough chance to actually go in there and figure out any of the main combos. I did some of the training, but not enough to be effective with it. The game is very pretty. Um, I if that is where Marvel is leading to, I'm very excited for the future. It should be a very beautiful game with the with the button combos of Marvel gameplay with these type of graphics. That should be the Marvel versus Capcom 4 that everybody's kind of been waiting for. That is the next level because they make that shit look real good. And when I played that, I did get a fever for the Dragon Ball saga, whatever you want to call it. That was not part of my childhood. So I do watch some Dragon Ball from time to time, and it is always impressive. It's fun. It's just that it's like the series is always too drawn out. And if you have nothing going on in your life, that is what you can do. But if you have one thing going on in your life, that shit gets in the way real fast. So I've been actually getting back into the movies, which are quite convenient because in 2 hours, boom, you're done. And some of them are even shorter. Some of them are like 45 minutes. But I watched the Brawley series and two out of three of them, and they were good. The last one that they had made, I watched that one first, as we mentioned, and that was fucking amazing. Super Brawly, yes, that was fucking good. Um, it's nice to see that Dragon Ball has progressed, in their style, and it seems like where we're seeing them now, with art, like that's next level shit right there. Yeah, it got me in the door. It's appreciation, it all it was these kind of things link you. They make you question, well, what was the past like? What was the prior content that came out before this like? And there's a million reasons to hate Dragon Ball Z. It could be duration, it could be the plot. Uh, Sometimes it's too silly. But if you just come at it with fresh, open eyes, just kind of roll with the punches, it's fun. It's a good show, and every now and then you'll get an action scene that is just uh you can tell that because of that scene, it inspired so many future video productions to adopt a lot of that. I can say Dragon Ball has inspired many directors of today, especially action films, to how you build up and set up a scene. I think Dragon Ball was probably in a mix of financial matters where they had to stretch things out. They had to put you on the hook. They had a system, they had a rhythm to it. And that brought in the money. And they've been doing this for 40 plus years, I'm sure. So they're they're doing pretty good at it. But anyway, yeah. The last thing I want to hit on was Silent Hill 2. You said you got back into that. Ugh. So could you see yourself playing the older Silent Hill games? Resident Evil does a lot of that in the dark scenes as well. They'll put you in like an old storage, an old room, limited lighting, and like two bullets. Yeah, fuck. But having limited resources, is that what kind of adds to the suspense and scare, or what is it that makes the game exceptionally good? So when I played Silent Hill, you are starting off in the middle of you're in the streets. There's still some daylight. I think it's kind of a getting you used to what's going on, but that's not the game, right? That's just kind of like a training, right? Like that basically hasn't even started until you start getting into these dark rooms. Yeah. Yeah. It's typical scary movie. What are you doing going in there? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here before we get into any technical issues we had in the past. But I think that was a good little run. The game night that we had game night was intense. We stayed up till almost 2 in the morning running these games, and what a pleasure and experience it always is. But anyways, just to kind of wrap it up, a good little rundown on some of the games that we ran last week. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them in below, and we'll catch you next week.